I do love driving an electrical vehicle. But boy, have times changed since I learned how to drive. And my thinking has changed too. One of the greatest anxieties of a new EV or electric vehicle driver is range anxiety. So range anxiety is the anxiety that you're going to run out of charge before you finish your trip or before you get a chance to get somewhere where you can plug in. And this is a real fear. The first few times that I came into Monterey, my palms were sweaty, I'm at the wheel. I did not allow my passengers to turn on any comfort control things in the car at all. Not going to happen. I did not want to run out of power. So this is it, but it was really almost sheer panic. But over time, this changed, and you become more comfortable once you get to know the car. But people around you, they still say, well, gosh, this seems like a big deal. What if you want to take a long trip? Oh, come on. If I want to take a long trip, I'm going to take a train, I'm going to fly. I'm not going to spend hours in a car. That's so old school. We don't do that anymore. And plus, I have a house. I put all my money into the house anyway. This doesn't happen. So, what people argue is that they have this big tank of gas, right? They have this big tank, and they can fill it up, and they can go like 500 miles on a tank of gas. And they feel like that's true independence. You really can go somewhere. Wow. Independence. You're chained to buying gas along the street at some station somewhere, and that's independence? I'm not so sure. Another major shift in my thinking happened with the gas gauge. So in the gas hog vehicle, there's a thing called a gas gauge. We all know what that is. It has a dial, and it gives you a pretty good estimate of how many miles you have left. And you kind of go through that mental calculation as you're driving along and say, okay, do I have to stop for gas before I get home? And now in the EV, I don't have a gas gauge per se. I have a digital readout that tells me how many miles I have left on my charge, how many miles I have left to go. Well, this is great, right? I don't have to, there's no guesswork here. I just read the dial and I drive. This is magic. How does this work? How does the car know whether or not I'm going to go up a hill on the way home, or down a hill on the way home, or if I'm going to have a headwind or a tailwind? Yeah, the car doesn't know. Officially, it's called a guessometer. Yeah, okay. That doesn't work out. So one of my most fundamental shifts has happened slowly over time without me realizing it. And this is a real mental shift that I realized today, I think, was a day that it really hit home. So you know what it feels like when you have a full tank of gas. You go to the gas station, you fill up, you get a little boost. You're like, oh, I can go anywhere. I've got a full tank of gas. This is great. So for me, every morning I get up, I get in the car, I've got a full charge. I feel great. I'm ready to go. Except for today, because my EV is in the shop. That's a whole nother speech. So today, I had to got in the gas car, and I look at the gas gauge, and it's way below quarter tank. And I had that same sense of anxiety, that I'm not going to make it to Toastmasters to give my speech on anxiety. because I can't make it. But it's this whole feeling of you're driving with the tank half full most of the time, whereas within an EV, you're driving with a tank more than half full most of the time. So it was a very fundamental shift in thinking of that when you get in your car in the morning, you're looking at the gas gauge and you're thinking how little you have, but in the EV you have a lot. Well, and I have an option too. If I don't have a charge, I just plug it in and wait around. But if you're stuck at home and you don't have any gas, you really don't have an alternative. You have to call AAA, and that's a whole other story too, because I've got that one from the other day. But, so what does this all mean? It means I think that we're pretty adaptable. even us older folks who don't think we are. And anxiety really is just a state of mind. And I always remind myself, this too shall pass. Yes. Thank you very much.
This is my first evaluation here, and so my expertise in sharing today will largely just be drawn on hearing y'all over the last few months, and especially Master Evaluator Arnie, which is a little bit of a tough evaluating act to follow. So I'll be drawing on the plethora of things that I've learned to share with you what I thought of Monique's speech today from the Advanced Communication series on Humorously Speaking. Thank you very much for that. And I found mostly things that I got learned from watching a senior member, is my understanding, as I am new to the club here. And so I found mostly positive things to write down and struggled with any improvements. What I liked is the walking around. I don't have this down, but there was lots of, I'll have to practice this in front of the mirror or something, but there was lots of animation, hands, and walking, and I really like that because maybe because I struggle with that. So there's a lot of encouragement from watching and listening to you, and the smile and enthusiasm for the topic I felt was just bang on. So, and the speech was supposed to be 5 to 7 minutes, and it was 5:04, so good timing. And so, lots of good stuff. The only thing I was digging deep to find, to make a suggestion, and hearing other people talk and say things, I like the title of the speech, The Anxiety of Driving an Electric Car. I think people who are electric car drivers would probably swear by them, and yet you seem to be a little bit fair that there are downsides. And that's what I like to hear, and maybe could have heard a little more of, again, I'm digging deep here, is nowadays mostly when you hear news or a topic, you hear one side. And I was raised to kind of hear both sides of the story and be able to argue both sides of the story and then kind of make a decision for myself. So I like to hear more like two sides. And there was some of that, and you talked about, and I could have probably just liked a little more of the other side, which can prove the other side, which is your preference, by saying the string thing. So digging deep for the suggestions, I really appreciate it. And I think this is the first speech on this new course, this new path. It's not pathways, but a new path. So I'm sure you do great, and thanks for sharing and learning more about electronic cars.